Welcome to Sacramento Film Works, where we show you how film works. My name is Craig DeLuz, and I'll be your host.
And I'm Amy Henry. We're so glad to have you here in this show. This is going to be very exciting because we're going to be bringing you an aspect of filmmaking that is actually blossoming, and it's called the making of a web series. You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Well, we're so glad to have you. Well, we are now going to be interviewing our spotlight guest, and he is Brian Jagger from the Roseville area. And Brian is very interesting because he has been acting for a very long time, but also is writing. And so we wanted to bring him to you. Brian, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is exciting. This is really exciting. You're doing some exciting things and have been working for a while in the filmmaking industry. Tell me a little bit about how you got started before we share with our audience what we're going to be talking about specifically to your project. How did you get started?
I started in theater when I was in elementary school. Really got excited about doing plays. I auditioned for, Tree Number 4 in some play and ended up getting to be playing the Prince, and Prince and the Pauper was my first play, and I'll never forget that. And I really found a love for it since then and continued doing theater up until my late 20s. And actually wrote a play which earned me an LA nomination here locally. It was called The Interviews.
Awesome.
And then about 3 years ago, I auditioned for my first feature film and really enjoyed that experience. And so I've been doing TV and film ever since.
Awesome. Now, I know, but you all don't know, that you've done a wonderful short film. Tell us about that film.
I was very excited to write and act in a short film called The Lottery Ticket, and it was part of Access Sacramento's, a place called Sacramento Film Festival.
Woohoo!
So I wrote the short, and it was one of the 10 selected out of all the submissions to be in the film festival. So it's a script-to-screen festival.
Okay.
So they pick the winning scripts, and then those scripts get produced into films, and we received a fantastic response from the audience and from those who have seen it online as well.
So for those that are watching, let's give kind of a brief synopsis of what The Lottery Ticket is all about.
Sure. It's about a widowed father of two who's really struggling to make ends meet and doesn't necessarily make the best financial decisions for himself and his two young daughters when he spends his last $10 on a lotto ticket instead of on food for his family. And that has both very positive and very negative repercussions.
Oh, and that's where you're going to hold us, like a cliffhanger.
Well, you can always go to Access Sacramento's YouTube page and check it out online.
Smart. That was smart. Good. We'll do that. So make sure you do that. Now tell me, once you did The Lottery Ticket, where'd it go from there?
I was so inspired by the responses that I got from people who saw the short or who had read the short script that I wanted to expand my writing, and I actually wrote a full-length feature film version of the story, and I'm very proud to say that earned me representation from a literary agent, and so I now have a professional literary agent who is now representing the script and hoping to help it get sold to turn into a major motion picture.
That is awesome. Well, we are really fortunate because we've actually got a clip for you to watch. So hang on. We will be right back after we watch this.
Hi, I forgot my debit card and I really wanted to get a lottery ticket. I was wondering if you wouldn't mind if I left those here and I'd come back and get them in a little bit.
Sure, you better hurry. There's only a few minutes left before the cutoff at 7.
Daddy.
Shh, let's go play a game.
Dad, you promise.
I know, but I've got a good feeling.
You don't have a debit card.
Okay, enter in your birthday numbers. Okay, you enter in yours. Okay, and Mom's birthday for the mega number. Okay, good.
my heart was like pounding. I was waiting for the $10 to go in. That was great. That was like anticipation. I'm like, if that doesn't go in, you know.
And
fantastic.
I was fortunate to work with a fantastic local director named Ben Barber, who did a great job of directing the film and putting it all together as well.
Oh, how fun. Oh, it's like a cliffhanger. Can't wait to see the whole thing.
Find out how it ends. Like I said,
Yeah.
access Sacramento's YouTube page.
Right. So tell me and tell all of us, what's up for you next?
Well, hopefully the feature film version of the lottery ticket gets picked up, and when we go forward with that, I don't plan on being in that. That would hopefully go to a bigger level than I'm currently participating in, but I also have some other projects that I've been fortunate enough to be a part of. I just filmed my 13th episode as an actor for the Investigation Discovery Channel TV show, I Almost Got Away with It. And so that will be coming up in a few months. Actually, I have 2 episodes that will be airing this upcoming season, and some other projects that aren't quite ready yet, but they're on their way.
So if you could sum it up for folks that really just have that burning desire to do something like you're doing, to get started, if you could sum it up in a couple of words or adjectives to describe how they need to focus in, what would that be?
Show up.
Show up.
Find some place, find a group, or find an audition, whatever it is, small, medium, or large, to show up at. Especially in the Sacramento community, it's a fantastic networking community, a very supportive film and production community. Show up, you'll meet a lot of great people, and that's how things get done here.
Wow, thanks so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Much. We're going to be right back. Hang on, because our industry expert is going to be with us. You don't want to miss that. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Sacramento Film Works. Today we're going to talk about the making of a web series. Now, you know, I'm always, whether it's on my cell phone or on my computer, always looking for good content, stuff to check out online. And I never really had thought about the idea of watching a web series.
I haven't either, Craig. This is really new to me, and I'm so excited. But, you know, the world has changed so much. I mean, you can get something anywhere. If you really want to see it or watch it, there's so many mediums today. And so that's why we're excited, because we've got a special guest and you're going to introduce him.
Right. Now, Rick Gott has over 30 years experience in filmmaking and acting, and is the writer, creator, producer, chief cook and bottle washer for a fantastic award-winning web series known as Dark Pool. So we'll introduce our special guest, Rick Gott.
Yeah.
So glad to be here. So glad to be here.
Thank you, Rick.
All right, now, Rick, I've had a chance to watch Dark Pool, and I've really found it interesting. I have to ask, what was your inspiration for starting the web series?
Well, it goes back to a couple of years ago. I think it's been about 2.5 years. And I'm a teacher, and I teach at a place called Natomas Charter School, Performing and Fine Arts Academy in Sacramento. And I get to train kids to do acting as well as filmmaking. And when they graduate, a funny thing happens. They go off to college. Most of them do really well for themselves. But then there are a few people, young people, who can't quite find themselves. Perhaps they don't have the money for college, and so they flounder. And I was trying to address that. I was always asking myself, what could I do to, take care of that problem? And we had a bit of a tragedy in that about 3 to 4 years ago, one of my former students took his own life. And that really got me angry for a while. And then I grieved, and then I started to think, what will I do about it? And actually, Dark Pool is the result of that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really interesting. So it turned into something that was actually productive and then ended up helping others as well?
Yeah. I thought, well, how can I respond to that? Because the word responsibility comes from, do I have the ability to respond?
Right.
And I did. I thought, what do I do? Well, I make shows. I can write. I have a plethora of friends that do wonderful things in the film community. I have both seasoned friends, we'll call them, people who have been here doing film in Sacramento for a long time, and I have my students. So I just thought, what if I put two communities together and watched what happened?
The steps that you took to start this web series, what were they? Were there just a few simple steps, or was it very difficult to get into the process of making a web series?
Well, we have to remember that I've been at it for roughly 3 years, and in that 3 years, the web series industry has become exactly that. It's an industry. There's business here. And 3 years ago, it was really just a bunch of hobbyists doing really wonderful, interesting work, but mostly nobodies. 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, when we went to our first Web Fest and gathered with our friends who do the same thing, it was just great because there were about 1,000 people there, and many, many titles, 400 or so titles. But we were all in the same line of fame, you know, meaning none. You know, and another person you don't know, and here's another person you've never heard of, and
But
that's
iron
the
ain't
list.
sharpening iron, though.
Right,
Yeah.
but this year we're going down in 2 weeks, and we're competing against some major soap opera stars, people, Kendall from the Days of Our Lives,
Okay.
and that ilk, you know. So it's changed drastically. But when I got started, it was really just a matter of looking at web series. Actually, my filmmaking students turned me on to these things. I hadn't heard of them either,
Really?
and they showed me a couple, and I said, we could do better than that. I just had that, you know, that feeling of like, I know we can do better than this, because they weren't very, very well produced, you know.
Let's give our studio audience an opportunity to take a quick look at a clip that we have from Dark Pools.
I'd love it.
Okay, I'm the one that's nuts. I can't believe this. I have a daughter, I don't have a daughter, she's here, she's not here, she exists, she doesn't exist. I'm not supposed to know where she is. I have a wife that's never loved me. She was, what, she was assigned to me?
Not assigned. We were destined.
Why doesn't that make me feel any better?
Wow, now that was a real moment of suspense right there.
That's good acting.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah, were those folks that were at the school that you teach at?
No, these are two professional actors, Jason Kirkendall as the male lead, Jim Kral, and Sierra Hersek, who is playing our Tracy. Okay. Sierra just was down at the Grauman's Chinese Theater. It's called the Mann Theater in Los Angeles, where she was given an award for a short film that she made. Yeah.
Wow.
She's very, very good.
So now, tell me now, I've watched episode, and it's really neat. I think to myself, man, this would also make a really good movie. So why opt for a web series instead of doing a full-length film?
Good question. Well, going back to the narrative of why I started, I wanted to bring kids and seasoned filmmakers together. A lot of people try to make feature films, and they're asking their professional friends to job on for free, deferred pay, which means free, and let's face it, you know. And I thought web series are so short and sweet and cute, you know, and so I thought I would just ask them to do a couple. I wrote 5 episodes, and they were willing to, and I wrote it all around somebody's house, the backyard and the front yard, upstairs, downstairs, very 70s horror film kind of milieu, and it's cheap, you know. All I had to do was get a house and my friends there, if I could just rope them in for a little bit of time, and we shot the first 5 episodes in about 4 days.
Wow.
We shot very quickly.
That's
Because
fantastic.
they're very good and they can move fast, but the second season we slowed down. We took a little bit more time.
And how many episodes on the second season?
There are 5 in each season,
Okay.
and we just made that up. A season is 5 episodes, right?
Okay.
About the web series industry, we're finding ourselves kind of at the epicenter of the movement internationally. We have friends in Paris and all over the world who are making these things, and they're asking us, like, how should they be made? Because nobody knows.
Yeah. So what I noticed when I went on, because of course I was intrigued, is you've got quite a few followers. There's even several folks here in our audience that are followers of Dark Horse. And so, do you know at all how many people are following the show?
Well, we have a Twitter account, and we have about 400 followers now, and we're
Right.
building that sort of thing. And all kinds of interesting people are starting to join us there. We've had about 40,000 hits on YouTube.
Great.
And so, yeah, we're starting to build it, but it's not enough. The hardest thing of all, you'd think it would be producing it, but it's actually getting people to just take that time and watch them. I think that if you decide to watch one, you're going to want to watch 2, and then you're going to watch 3, and then you're hooked.
So now you guys are into season 3.
3.
So you're in the middle of taping that.
Yes.
You know, for those that are actually watching the show today and have a desire, they're saying, oh, wow, what? Web series? I didn't know you could do that. Let's talk about the logistics of it, starting from funding.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's probably one of the biggest pieces or concerns I would imagine that people have. How am I going to fund a web series? Because it's quite different than having to fund a film.
It's different and the same at the same time. Money would make things a lot easier, but what I did is, and I have been doing, is reframing money with value. What I'm starting to realize is that everybody has value. And if you look around your world, you may have everything that you need already to do what you want to do. You just have to, forget that it's money and think only that it's value. Meaning that I have professional people filming for me. Well, they should be paid $800 to $1,000 a day. That's what they get for their day rate. But what I'm giving them is a chance to get a worldwide audience and to do fiction. To do something. They really many of my friends are just longing to do a story about a guy whose daughter is kidnapped in front of him, his friends, and his family, and no one cares, including his wife. And they're like, oh, that sounds so cool and awful, and I want to play. So they're kind of, what I'm doing is I'm reigniting their spirits of like that 14-year-old boy or girl who just wanted to make movies back in the day. Right. And they became people who make commercials, which are great. I love commercials, but they're getting to do fiction again, and so that's a value. And so if all you have to do is look at what movies cost and why they cost so much, and just start erasing line items. Wow. Personnel. It's possible if you get your friends together, you can take care of that. Our biggest expense is food. You feed people. You treat them really nice, and I'd like a couple of those canvas-backed chairs.
There you go.
So you can put your name on the back, things like that. But we're really trying to find a way to cut costs so that we can continue to do this as we build towards the bigger vision, which is to make it an industry here in Sacramento.
I'd like to take a quick break and actually go to and show. We have one more clip from Dark Pool that I wanted to make sure everybody had a chance to see.
All right.
If they found out that I've helped you, they'll end me.
Kill you?
No, it's much worse than that. I wouldn't ever come back on any string.
Strings?
That's the problem, isn't it? You think there's only one string.
String theory.
Wow.
That's another thing I'm trying to do is I'm a teacher, and I just would love a show where kids, and I'm actually having this happen, kids start researching string theory, and reading Brian Greene's book, The Elegant Universe, and they're trying to keep up with me and figure out this thing that I'm creating in my head.
Okay.
They'll say, Mr. Gott, I think I figured it out.
Okay. Wow. This is fantastic.
Smart television. That'd be cool.
This is fantastic. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to go with Amy into the audience, and we're going to have the audience have the opportunity to ask our industry expert a few questions. So we'll be right back.
And we are back. We're so excited that you've joined us. And we are in the studio now with our studio audience questions. And you've got a great question for Rick. Tell me your first name.
D.
D, what is your question for Rick?
Well, I'm really excited to watch the series, so I'm wondering how long is each episode?
Great question. Each episode lasts between 6, 7, or 9 minutes. Always under 10. That's what we've decided to keep it at.
Suspenseful.
Yeah.
So thanks for that question. All right, so we have another guest here, and your name is?
Matana.
Matana, that's a beautiful name. So what is your question for Rick?
You spoke a little bit about the expense, but are you planning to produce a feature film in the future?
Well, I've designed the episodes so they can be glued together in different formats. If we had the ability to go to a half-hour format for television, I can take 3 episodes and make a 22-minute piece, or I can make a 44-minute piece for an hour-long drama, or I could put the whole thing together and it would be a fairly long movie, but we actually could do that. We hope someday to be able to finish the entire story. The whole story goes 40 episodes. And I'm 15 in.
Great. Wow. All right. And we've got another question here. What is your first name?
Demetra.
Demetra, what is your question?
For those people that want to get started in what you're doing, what advice do you have on creating a winning webinar?
Okay. All right.
Or web series?
It's another great question. I think that a good story is the first thing that you want to think about, and anything you can do to learn about how to do that if you don't know already. But you have to just intrigue people. If you have a good main character who has something really interesting that they want very, 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 very much, and have someone trying to stop them from getting that thing, you probably have a pretty good story. That's the nuts and bolts of a good story. A man wants to do this, and this other person doesn't want them to.
Okay, and we have one last question here. Your name?
Norman.
Norman, what would you like to ask?
Rick, if you had the opportunity to do it all over again, what, if anything, would you do differently?
I would make the first episode more of an audience catcher. I would probably take the second episode and put it first, because in the second episode, I'm going to give something away if you haven't seen it, but Jim Kroll walks into his office where he's been given a promotion and everybody's dead.
What?
Well, you'll have to watch it to see what I'm talking about. But that really grabs you. And my first episode, I really beg my audience to stick with me. Something interesting happens at the very end of the 7 minutes, but a lot of people just don't quite stick around to see that because it doesn't have a whole lot of action in it. So I would flip those and start with more action.
Wow, that's great. We've got just some wonderful questions from the audience. Thank you so much. This is really suspenseful and exciting all at the same time. So we're going to go watch it, right? Right? Awesome.
All right. Okay, so folks are really excited, and obviously they want to check it out online. How do they find Dark Pool online?
Thanks for asking. It's on YouTube, and you simply have to search for Dark Pool Film. Not Dark Pool itself, but Dark Pool Film, and you'll get it.
Well, that's it for this episode. Sacramento Film Works is a project of the Northern California Filmmakers Coalition and is brought to you in partnership with Access Sacramento. We'd like to thank our special guests, starting with our spotlight guest, Brian Jagger, as well as our industry expert, Rick Gott. I've been your host, Craig DeLuz.
And I'm your co-host, Amy Henry. We're so thankful that you were able to watch this show on really an interesting topic, web series. Don't forget to watch us next time because we've got a very unique aspect of filmmaking that you don't want to miss. So we are excited to be a part of Sacramento Film Works, where we show you how film works.